So this is Profiles in Excellence, Luke McCormack.
Yeah, if you could, that would be very helpful.
All right, so I'm going to talk about,
Explain everything.
we'll call it the modernization journey that every CIO has been on. How much time do we have here? As much as we want, or 10 minutes, 5 minutes?
No. Under 5. I mean, this is
Oh,
going to be a
okay, all right.
one-page article. So,
Yeah.
So I like that, though. Going down the modernization.
Modernization journey and the ability and the authorities that are now made available. And there's sort of two dimensions there, right? We talked today in the radio show about a variety of tools that are now available to every CIO. Everything from the ability to get access to the modernization fund, or create your own fund internally within the working capital. Create a working capital fund within your agency. The ability to do direct hire authority and get the types of skills that you need to get access to and leverage some of these tools and techniques, these modernization techniques that are available, right? The ability to have the authority to be at the table from a funding perspective and a go, no-go decision as an agency CIO, making sure that you're making good informed decisions, right? And a recognition as a community codified in the executive orders and in the President's management agenda that the only way to deliver that promise to the citizen, the only way to do it securely, the only way to do it efficiently is to modernize, right? That's the holy grail. You must modernize. And the other dimension that is so powerful at this point is, and I should have said, I guess the TMF and TBM, I'm sorry, and that's really important. And the reason why that's really important is because this is a structured mechanism that is in parallel and leveraged widely by the public sector. And this is the ability to quantify your type of spend and be able to categorize your type of spend and have a meaningful conversation with the business, right, about how much it costs to do this or do that, and have it quantified in a normalized way. Very important. All that being said, and all those accoutrement and capability available to you, you now have this tectonic shift in technology that's available widely to the private sector and then hence to the public sector. And this is all the cloud technology and the technology that's in the cloud. And what I'm talking about there is software as a service and being able to buy these capabilities, buy the drink, buy the slice of pizza, however you want to say that, and enable that capability very rapidly inside of your agency, assuming you have all the security, et cetera, available, and assuming that the services are using all the certifications and credentials required by the federal government, namely FedRAMP, et cetera. And most of these commercial entities are doing that. So you have this tectonic shift in this technology available. You have the ability to hire talent into the organization and reskill the talent you have in the organization to take advantage of this technology. And you have all these weapons available to you through these funding mechanisms, et cetera, to exercise your authority to be able to deliver very quickly in a new modern kind of way. It's just it's a sort of a new generation. This is a culmination of 10 years worth of hard work through our community to get some of these authorities put in place to enable the CIO community to do what it needs to do, married with this technology shift that's now available. Bringing those two together, creates a whole new generation, a whole new world of opportunities. The other thing that I think is really important, and it's just sort of a natural progression, is where you see the private sector and the public sector getting much, much closer together. The years of having, specifications that were very specific to the federal government, disabling a lot of these technologies that may be available commercially are gone. That barrier is much, much lower than it used to be. Again, you do have to have some of these accreditations, but the reality is, once you get through some of those elements, you're able to use widely accepted, publicly available types of technology, all the way up to open source, and using the open source community to build some of these environments that we're looking to build. Not everything's going to be a low-code, no-code environment. Not everything's going to be a SaaS. I would imagine that the federal government will continue to leverage that to the greatest extent that they can, and the SaaS providers are making sure those accreditations are available so that they can do that. But you're going to have purpose-built systems, and what I mean by that are specific systems built for that particular agency that are just not commercially available. And that's where you get into things like DevSecOps and some of these modernization techniques that are readily available, using things like open source, using the skills that you've now been able to hire because you have this new authorization to hire these types of digital natives, we'll call them, is a very powerful capability. And unlike ever before, you're bringing all those complexities together to deliver on that promise to the citizen, deliver on that promise to the mission. Extremely powerful and very unique situation that we're in right now, and allowing the federal government to deliver very quickly, very securely, at a fraction of the time and literally a fraction of the cost. I was amazed by some of the capability that we were able to deliver out to our operators in a very short amount of time, at a very little amount of money, because you can sort of build this stuff and buy it by the drink. Very powerful capability. The other thing it allows you to do when you open your aperture up into this environment is all of a sudden you've got access to not only the technology, but the skills that are out there in the universe. And these are skills that are working at Netflix and Zappos and, name your company that uses modern technology to enable their business can now come into our environment and use some of the same tools and techniques and do some of the same types of, use some of the same types of methodologies to deliver to the citizen. And I have never found a situation where these folks were not interested in public service, right? Most of them are. The mission always sells. It's two things that were always barriers. One, the length of time to get them in. We fixed that now with this new authorization. And two is the types of tools that we're going to use once they got into the community, right? They don't want to use your father's old tools of the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s, right? They want to use the modern tools. They know how to use the modern tools, and they can be very successful in using those modern tools to provide the capabilities that are very important for this nation to keep it safe, and again to deliver that contemporary capability to the citizens.